Hello everyone and welcome back. If you're new, my name is Cassie Essery and this is Learn With Us. Today is episode 3, the final episode of this series all about interviews. If you haven't checked out my other videos on this subject, then I'll link them down below so that you can watch them and hopefully they will help you out. Today we are going to be focusing on questions that they will ask you in an interview, questions that you should ask them, and how to prepare for all of this. So if that's something you're interested in, then keep on watching. Okay, so we're just gonna dive right into questions that they are going to ask you, or very likely will ask you in your interview. My goal with this is just to give you some questions and how you could potentially answer them. So the first question that is almost always asked is, tell us about yourself. I guess that's not really a question, but they will say, tell us about yourself. This is your first impression, so make it good. You want to tell them who you are through your teaching experience. This is not a time to tell them about your cat, people. This is a good opportunity to tell them why you want to be a teacher, why you want to teach at their school, why you like working with children. So this is where you get to tell them a little bit about your personality and your background and why you are here. That's what they really want to know. So I used to start this answer by saying, well, I graduated in this year and this was my student teaching experience. Sure, they want to know that, but that's part of your resume, number one, but tell them a story. Tell them a little bit about yourself through teaching. I know that sounds a little confusing, so I'm going to give you an example. I would start my answer to this question by telling how I got interested in teaching in the first place. In high school, I volunteered at a buddy program after school to help kids with their homework and learn to read and all of that great stuff. It was amazing and so much fun. I looked forward to it all week long. One day, one of my classmates asked me, how much do you get paid for that? And I was actually kind of confused. Like, what? How much do I get paid for that? I said, I don't. I just do it because I love it. Yes, this is when I realized, oh, you can get paid for that. Like, this is a real life job. But really, I hadn't even thought about that. It was just something that I was passionate about. I loved working with children. And so that's when I realized I can do this as a career. And that is where my love for working with children and helping them succeed began. So there's just a little example telling who I am through an experience working with children and why I'm even here in the first place. Of course, then I would connect that with, then I went to university and got my degree and teaching license because I wanted to make a difference in the world and continue doing something that I loved. Okay, another thing they're gonna ask about is your classroom environment. What does it feel like when we will walk into your classroom? What are some things that are important to you about how it looks, how it feels, all that stuff. Along with that, they're gonna ask about your classroom management philosophy. Now, I know that is a huge, that is a big thing. Try to put it in concise terms. Whether you really value positive behavior reinforcement or love and logic or any of those things. Maybe you're really into envoy and nonverbal things. That'll come in handy this year for sure. But they're gonna ask about what your response to positive behavior is. What's your response to negative behavior? How do you handle that conflict in the classroom and assert your authority while being loving? They don't want to push over, so make sure that you appear confident in how you manage your classroom. They're probably going to ask you about a real life example of how you successfully handled a problem in the classroom. They might even ask, as they did in my interview, about a problem that I had in the classroom and how I failed and what would I have done differently if I were given a do-over. One last thing about classroom management. Do not say, send them to the principal. No one wants to hear that. They want to know that you can handle your classroom just fine. Fine without them. Of course, it's always nice when you have that support, but really, send them to the principal is not really an option in this case. Just don't even go there. Okay, moving on from the classroom feel and environment, we're gonna talk about data. They are always going to ask about data because that's where our world is and we want our kids to be successful and numbers are important. They're gonna ask you about data and how data drives your instruction. What do you do when half of the class doesn't get it and half of them do? They're going to want to know how you collect data and how that data influences your instruction in the future. Along with data, they're going to ask you about your math and reading times. What would it look like if they walked into your room? What are they going to see, and how are you going to incorporate different learning styles into your instruction? They'll also want to know how you deal with confrontation or conflict with parents, because more than likely that will happen at least sometime in your teaching career, and potentially your coworkers. So they want to know, how do you deal with a problem? Don't just say it, show them through a story. Stories are seriously magical during interviews because they speak to your character and they're real life examples. So think of a few. Now, questions for them, because at the end they are always going to ask, do you have any questions for us? Make sure that you have some. And you're welcome. Here are a few. Ask them about PLCs. Maybe you have another name for it, but PLC stands for Professional Learning Community. In other words, grade level teams. Ask them if you're going to have a chance to collaborate with other grade level teachers, whether in your school or within the district. That is huge because it shows that you value collaboration, that you want to learn from other teachers, and that you can be an asset to other teachers as well. It's really important for districts that they're all on the same page, and so if you tell them that that's important to you, they're going to like it. Another thing you can ask them is, what is their support for new teachers? A lot of districts have mentor programs, or maybe you have a mentor teacher in the school that could really help you out. When you ask about that, it shows that you are teachable, but also moldable, and sometimes principals want that. Sometimes teachers who have been teaching for quite a while are a little bit stuck in their ways. Not all, don't get me wrong. I know. Sometimes it's really an asset for principals to hire a brand new teacher because then they can mold them to fit whatever they want. Which I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm just saying, don't discredit yourself because you're a new teacher. Sometimes that's awesome. And when you ask for support, that shows that you are teachable and open to suggestions. And that's really important. All right, the last part of the video, it's all about how to prepare for these questions. Now, not just knowing them like we've been talking about is super important, and knowing like what may come at you. But what are you going to do about that? Well, here are just a couple of ideas of how you can prepare. Practice, record, and time. Practice on the phone with your mom, your brother, your cooperating teacher, maybe even a professor will agree to help you prepare, but you need to practice with another person, not just in front of a mirror or just in your head. You need to practice with another human being. When you practice with another person, they can give you real feedback on your answers. It's also in real time rather than when you're just answering the questions in the shower and you have no pressure on you. It's totally different when you're practicing with another person. So give them a call. Another way to prepare is to record yourself on video answering the questions. This is awesome because if you don't have someone to practice with, you can observe yourself answering the questions. And I can tell you what, just from me doing these videos, I've noticed a lot of things about myself. Maybe my enunciation, or the way that I play with my hair during an answer, or something like that. You can see a lot about how you come off in your confidence and whatever when you record yourself on a video. It's totally different than when you're practicing in front of a mirror because you can respond immediately when you see yourself playing with your hair or picking your nails. But you don't have a mirror during an interview. And that's kind of like when you're recording yourself. You see it later, so it will make you aware of some of your tics and things that you do. It will also give you a chance to practice eye contact because I know that's kind of awkward sometimes, just staring into someone's soul. It feels like that when I'm staring into the camera too. And the last one, time. Time your responses. We've all been there when we ask someone, how was your day? And then 10 minutes later, they're still talking about their day. I'm totally guilty of that, by the way. Bless my husband for putting up with that. But anyways, time your responses. If it's over a minute long, it is way too long. They don't want a really long answer. You can tell when people's eyes are kind of glazing over or they start fidgeting with the papers, you know it's been way too long. So time your responses that they're not too short and they're not too long. This will help you become aware of a potential problem that you might have and didn't even know it. You can practice timing your responses in real time while you're answering, or just do it when you're replaying the video of yourself practicing just to see how long it actually takes you to answer a question. It's quite enlightening. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this is helpful for you. I honestly do. There's no other reason for me to do this because I already have a job. So I'm really just doing this for you. I want to help you get a job, and I know the times right now are a little bit unsure. That's an understatement. But when the opportunity comes for you to snag a job, I really hope that some of these tips help you be successful. If you're watching this and you've had some other questions that really stumped you that you think people should be aware of, comment down below. Help us out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in my next video next Tuesday.